Welcome everybody. It's great to have you guys here. I'm very excited for you. First off, everybody give yourself a big round of applause for being here tonight and taking the time. Seriously, it's a gorgeous summer day and you guys are taking the time to get healthier. That's a huge thing. So I really give you guys huge credit because a lot of people aren't taking that time out. So it's really my sincerest hope that today during this seminar that you leave here feeling hopeful, that you feel excited, that there's some things you can really take home and apply. And I always sometimes forget as I go through because I get going. I want to make sure to say, I'm going to give you a lot of information, and I don't want you to feel overburdened or like, oh, am I supposed to ever do this? The reason I give you so much is because everybody's going to leave here at a different level. Everybody's going to take something different. And if I give you a lot of stuff, it's a lot to pick from. So I want you to know when you leave here, if you leave with just one thing, you're going to be healthier at the end of this month if you start applying one new thing. If you leave with two things, so please, please feel free to take notes because I'm going to give you lots of stuff. So you certainly can. I try to set it up in a way that you can take some notes that'll help you remember as we go through here. So I'm very excited to be here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Lianne. I am a chiropractor here in Brantford. I do see a lot of my patients' face. I know a lot of people are here from RealFIT. So it's great that we can all come together with the same common goal and go through this. So today's topic is nutrition for health. It's really, part of our flyer is like, how do you eat like a gazelle? No, eat like an elephant and look like a gazelle. It's like, who wants to eat like a gazelle? I'm on grass, right? So that's really the goal. How can we eat more but way less and feel better? Uh-oh. We have a cell phone that didn't get turned off. If anyone has a cell phone, can you please turn it off? So, the first thing I want to let you guys know is nutrition is a very big part of health and healing and feeling well, but it's one part. So the whole goal is the more information you can get on health and healing, the healthier you're going to be over life. So we do look at a couple things. So mind frame is a really big part too. How you feel about yourself, how you feel about your life, how you feel about the direction you're headed is also important. Nerve supply, nerves control your entire body. Nutrition, that's what we're going to talk about today. Oxygen and lean muscle mass, so exercise is a huge part of health for those of you who are members at RealFIT. And then minimizing your exposure to toxins. So fat cells are actually stored toxins. So if we can get those toxins out of those fat cells, yes, we would feel lighter, look lighter, and be more energetic. But really, it's toxins that we don't want to be storing in our fat cells. So if you want the things in your life to change, you have to change things in your life. Seems simple enough, but how many people have tried the same thing over and over and over? We've expected a different result, the same diet, the same, and I could put two hands up for that. I've been down that path before. So today's goal, some of this stuff might sound crazy, might sound a bit different, might sound like something you haven't tried, but be open because sometimes if you've been going down that path, and maybe you've already gone down a good path, you just want that next step, then by all means, you're going to get a ton of information, but you are going to have to change some things in life. That is for sure. I can guarantee you that today. So Dr. Dean Ornish is a medical doctor, and he's been doing amazing things, and his studies have actually shown that changing lifestyle can prevent at least 90% of all heart disease. So one of the diseases that kills more premature deaths, costs more Americans than any other illness, is almost completely preventable and reversible. So not just can you prevent it, but you can actually reverse it if you're starting in heart disease. So that's high blood pressure, cholesterol problems, even looking at things like diabetes, cancer, all those things over time, we can actually prevent and reverse. So we want to talk about how we do that because right now as a whole, our obesity trends are very high. We have over 60% of our Canadian adults are overweight. Over 30% now are actually obese. The problem is our children. They're the ones right now that are really suffering because we haven't been taught this. How many people are actually taught nutrition to be able to teach their children nutrition? Not many people. So how would we know what to do if we haven't been taught? But the thing is, this is the next generation. And so obese kids have arteries like 45-year-olds. Where does that put them when they actually are 45? To be honest with you guys, this is the very first generation where they say children will not outlive their parents. So that's a really sad statistic, but we can totally change that. And that's what tonight is about. How do we make some changes? What do we do to not be part of that statistic? And diet is important. So cancer is at all-time high. And if you look at the different types of cancer, look how related diet is to it. So breast cancer is 50% related to diet. Pancreatic cancer, 50%. Prostate, 75%. Colon cancer. So diet has a huge impact, but no one's really talking about it. You might talk about chemotherapy, radiation, but what about what you can do at home to help reverse that disease? What's the problem? Well, what do? There are so many things we could do. The South Beach diet, the Atkins diet, the cabbage soup diet. There's a 7-day color diet I've never heard of before. I'd love to do peanut butter diet. Who here likes peanut butter? How do we sign up for that one, right? So the problem is most people don't actually understand what to do, and it's not about calories in versus calories out. Everyone has been taught, eat a certain amount of calories and you lose weight, but how many people have tried to eat less, exercise more, and not really gotten where they want to be? I'll tell you, there was times where I was exercising for 4 hours a day. You could not tell I was exercising for 4 hours a day. And I'm like, but I didn't understand why. So it's not just calories in, calories out, it's the quality, it's the nutrient density. So if you have 22 raw almonds in one hand, and you have a Twinkie in the other, which one's going to give you nutrients, enzymes, minerals, vitamins, and energy? The almonds, right? Well, guess what? They're the same amount of calories. So if you're just trying to hit a certain amount of calories, you can eat a Twinkie and they'll tell you that that's equal. It's not equal because one of them's actually going to give you health, one of them's going to steal health from you. You look at broccoli versus a 100-calorie packet of anything, right? So let's say you lost this calorie packet in the back of your desk one day, and a year later you stumble upon it, you open the drawer and there it is, you're, woo, Oreos, right? Rip them open. Do they smell the same, taste the same, look the same a year later? So the question is, which one would actually give you vitamins, nutrients, enzymes, minerals? Obviously the broccoli. So here's the thing, just because they each are 100 calories, they don't do the same thing in the body. So we want to make sure, we want to make it as simple as possible today for you guys. Real food is life. Dead food equals death. So the more dead food you eat, things that are not real that come in a package, do lead into sickness and disease, whereas something that's real and live is going to give you energy and nutrients. So one bowl of spinach is equivalent to 14 bowls of oatmeal in nutrient density. Most people don't know that. So green leafy vegetables is actually one of the greatest things you can actually put in your body. Look at this, 400 calories of oil. Look how much that fills up your stomach. Who would be full off of that? Not me. Take my hand down, right? 400 calories of chicken. Now, what if you put 400 calories of vegetables, you add a little bit of chicken and a little bit of oil? How many think that might be a nice meal? The problem is, we're putting a lot of processed, packaged foods in our system, and it's not actually giving us anything. So your body absorbs nutrients as it digests. But a lot of our bodies are just working on detoxifying what we put in. We're not getting a lot from it. So the question is, which fridge does yours look like? The one on the right or the one on the left? Most people like the right. Now, obviously, they're a little bit extreme, but the whole point is your fridge looks more like pre-packaged stuff that's in a plastic container versus something that's real, live, fresh, that's going to give you something. And the closer your fridge is to this, the healthier you're going to feel. And so my goal with my patients is not to put them on a diet. What are the first 3 letters of diet? Diet. How many people feel like they're going to die when they do a diet? Because it's like, you can't have this, and you can't have that, and you can't have this. And that just, it's like the big red button. Don't push that big red button, right? As soon as you can't have something, who wants it more? Right? Can't have chocolate? I just crave chocolate all day. So that makes it very difficult. So we want to look at it not as taking things away, but how do we give ourselves the gift of health, right? So if we look at countries where obesity isn't a problem, heart disease isn't a problem, blood pressure isn't a problem, cholesterol isn't a problem, what are they doing? Because there are countries, guys, where people live to be 100 to 120, zero disease. I'm talking in their 80s, they're dancing around, having fun, carrying water up the hills. How are they doing it? And the number one common thing is no processed foods. The most important thing is sugar. So we're going to go through this. The top 5 nutritional changes to make for good health, and these are the note takers, the writer downers. So if you want some things to help you remember, you certainly can write it down. But the number one thing is cutting out sugar. Now again, guys, I'm not going to tell you get rid of all of this and do all this. I'm just saying in general, if you can reduce, but even more realistically, if you could take a month or even 2 months just to clean your body out. I mean, detox, get rid of all the crap, let your body do some healing. This is the number one biggest thing you could do to absolutely transform your life. And I think some of this will be shocking to some people in here. So actually, before I go through this, on average, Canadians take in approximately 53, oh, there's some sugar leaking out here, I'll vacuum Nelson, 53 teaspoons of sugar. So who here thinks they take in 53 teaspoons of sugar a day?
Oh, I know I do.
Yeah, so some people are like, oh yeah, absolutely. But this seems shocking when you see it this way, right? And some people think there's no way. How many people think there's no way they take in this much sugar in a day? You can raise your hand if you really think you don't. That's okay. Okay, good. All right. So we're going to go through, because it's not the sugar you put on your cereal. It's not the sugar you put in your coffee. It's not where you sprinkle it. It's where it's hiding. And today's about teaching you all these hidden spots that it's in. So obviously we know it's in a candy bar, but it's also in things like our crackers, our chips, our cookies. Yogurt is a big one. So read this list: pasta sauces, lunch meats, canned foods, condiments, sauces, salad dressing, fruit drinks, canned foods, ketchup, mayonnaise, soup, Breads. So this is part of the list. This isn't all of the list, okay? The problem is when we take sugar in, here's some of the things. Speeds up your aging process, decreases your immunity, disturbs your mineral balance, raises cholesterol, so high blood pressure and cholesterol problems, tooth decay, weakens your eyesight, causes acne, weight gain, obesity, insulin resistance, so diabetes, malnutrition, hyperactivity. And guys, we're seeing a lot of this in kids, very hyperactivity and malnutrition. Kids are not getting the nutrients they actually need to function and survive. They're actually malnourished. And so you look at like a third world country where kids aren't getting any food, our kids are very similar. They're not actually getting food or like nutrients. They're getting something, but it's not actually nutrients. So the list goes on. It increases your risk of pretty much every single disease. So if there was one single thing you could do to change disease process in your body, this would be it. The biggest thing you could do. So the problem is you eat sugar, you like it, makes you crave it, has addictive properties. As soon as you eat it, it spikes your blood sugar way up, dopamine's released, the brain starts thinking addiction because as soon as it's like the same receptor sites as cocaine are stimulated when you put sugar in your body. So then you get massive insulin secreted to help bring your blood sugars down. Then the problem is the blood sugar falls. And then the problem is you have more fat storage. So as soon as those blood sugar falls, insulin comes out, and then your body's like, store it, because we can't have this much sugar going on. And then once you store it all, your body's like, I need sugar because there's nothing left. So you go through this vicious cycle that keeps going around. And how many people, it's like as soon as you have sugar, and then about 10 o'clock, you're like, I need something or I'm going to die. And then at 3 o'clock, I need something, I feel like I'm going to pass out. And your blood sugar's going up and down all day. So this is the cycle that happens. So as I mentioned, the average Canadian consumes 53 teaspoons of sugar. And it's not just in Coke, because obviously a can of soda is about 13 of those packets of sugar. Juice is another big one. So most people think juice is a healthy option. So like orange juice or apple juice. A juice is just like drinking a Coca-Cola. And so one thing you need to realize, your cells don't care whether it's getting sugar from an orange or sugar from honey or sugar from a Coca-Cola or an orange juice. Sugar has the same impact in the body, okay? So obviously we can see in a can, but look at the juice. So if you actually took what most people drink for juice, it's very similar to a can of pop, right? Drinking something like a Sobe green tea, which may look like it's healthier, is about equal to 4 slices of Sara Lee's cherry pie in sugar. Rockstar energy drinks, a lot of people are living off these. It's either coffee or this. 6 Krispy Kreme donuts and 1 Rockstar Energy worth of sugar. Starbucks, you get those like fancy mochaccino, frappuccino things. 8.5 scoops of ice cream equivalent of sugar in one of those fancy drinks. This one's a surprising one for most people. 2 slices of bread is equal to 1 chocolate bar in sugar. So when you eat a sandwich, it's like eating a chocolate bar. How is this possible? You're like, how does this even make sense? Well, because it's actually hiding. So carbohydrates, things like bread, pasta, rice, cookies, crackers, granola bars, things that come in a package, those things actually break down to sugar in your body. So some simple ones we can look at. Would most people think this would be a healthy treat or not so healthy treat? What do you guys think? I think? Scott?
Oh, I'm sure they sell it as a 5%.
They do sell it as a 5%. And sometimes you'll see all brand, not Raisin Bran, 1 bowl of Raisin Bran cereal. That's how much packets of sugar is in 1 bowl of Raisin Bran cereal. Is that shocking? Right? And so I think that's actually just in 1 cup. I don't think that's actually a whole bowl. Here's another one we try to pawn off on our kids as healthy because there's some wheat in it. 1 bowl of cereal. So a lot of the cereals could be Lucky Charms. You can double that. Frosted Flakes, Captain Crunch, full of sugar. Something as simple as like rice cakes. These little guys. How many people like crackers and cheese for a snack? 1 handful, which is about these little guys, about 6 little guys of these. So 7 packets of sugar and 1 little handful of these. Hiding. How about pizza? Do you think there's any hiding in pizza? Where's my pizza?
In the crust.
In the crust? You got it. So this is pretty small pizza. 1/6 of this isn't a big piece. That's 1 piece of pizza. And sugar. You're like, I don't like this seminar anymore. Who invited her anyway? One of our favorite snacks in the summertime. Drumstick. How many do you think? Almost as tall as me in sugar in 1 drumstick. 1 drumstick, right? So this is just 1 snack a day. We've already got almost 53 teaspoons. Something simple, because this is something kids do take to school. Something like this, like a granola bar. That's just 1 granola bar. So what do most people have for breakfast, especially kids? Cereal, right? Or toast. So they're starting their day off with like 20 packets of sugar, and then at lunchtime they have more. So guys, it's hiding in so many different places. So here's a healthy cereal, 100% nutrition. It's blueberries and pomegranates, so it looks pretty healthy, right? This cereal actually doesn't contain any blueberries or pomegranates. It has, I think, eight or nine different forms of sugar, 24 teaspoons of sugar in the cereal. And it's being promoted as a healthy cereal. Do you see why we're so sick as a whole, guys? So here's some sugar-loaded cereal. So again, you can see all the different ones. Even cornflakes. Cornflakes is still on the list. You've got Special K, you've got All Brand. So you'd actually be surprised. I think it was Cheerios, because I was like, well, Cheerios are okay. I think Cheerios has like 8 teaspoons of sugar in one little cup, one tiny little cup. Not a bowl, but a cup. And you're like, well, how's that possible? Because those things break down into sugar. Here's some different, like ketchup. How many people use ketchup? It's equivalent, like, to when you look at a can of Coke. So if you drink, and a lot of people do use a lot of ketchup. That is one of those that we passed around, right? So it's like having a Coca-Cola with your meal. So, and then many people have a Coca-Cola with their French fries. Some drinks, so you can see even like that drinkable yogurt. We sometimes send our kids off with a drinkable yogurt, full of sugar, guys. So here's just kind of like a visual. Yogurt's a big, people think yogurt is healthy. For the most part, yogurt is not a healthy option. It is so full of sugar. So even if you're trying to get probiotics from it, you're actually feeding all the bad bacteria, all the sugar in it, okay? Healthy things like, you think vitamin water. Oh, it's hard to see on here. There's a bunch of sugar packets in vitamin water even, right? So we just have to realize if we're giving our kids some of this stuff, or even ourselves. I know I'm using kids a lot, but even ourselves, it's like if we're living off these things during the day, it's no wonder we're not feeling so healthy by the end of the night. So if you wake up and have something like some cereal or some bread with a juice and a yogurt, you have a sandwich at lunch with some juice and maybe some cookies as a snack, a granola bar, and then at dinner you have something like potatoes, green beans, ham, that's about 71 packets of sugar in one day. Yes, Scott?
What is the right amount of sugar?
So that's a great question. I think it's like 9 teaspoons for women and like 12 for men or something. Like it's a lot less than what we consume. I think it's like 84 grams, divide that by 4, whatever that is.
So that'd be like, say, if you just ate the rice for the day, that would pretty much be your sugar.
Pretty much. So the thing is, and it's not that we can't have bad food, guys, and it's not that we can't have it in our life, it's that this makes up the majority of our diet. That's the problem. It's these things aren't used as snacks, these are staples. And that's when the problem becomes, is when you do this for breakfast, you do it for lunch, you do it for dinner. It's no wonder by the time we're 40, we feel like we're falling apart, right? So the analogy I use is like a car. So what do you have to put in your car to get your car to go? Gasoline. What if you put orange juice? Is it going to go? What if you put in rocket fuel? It's going to go fast, I don't know, right? If you put water in your car, even though it's good for us, it's not great for your car. So a car, you know, if you don't put what's supposed to be in it, and even a super fancy car, you have to put very special fuel in it, and you can wreck the motor if you don't. You guys realize, like, we're super fancy mobiles. To be honest with you, like, there is highly mechanical stuff going on in here. Like, the processes your body goes through, how many miles your blood travels in a day, you guys would be astounded. Your eyes make 10 million distinctions in like a millisecond or something. Like, it's crazy. So if we're putting the wrong fuel in, then there's no way our body can function properly, heal properly, operate properly. So where's this hiding and how do we find it? Anything that ends in OSE. So when you flip the package over, a lot of people think, well, I'm eating healthy, and I said, flip over the package. And I had to talk with a patient today about it. It's like, well, you might think it's healthy, flip over the package, because then you'll know. Maple sugar, maple syrup, honey, anything with corn, high fructose corn syrup, all these down here. So I get it, because I always get the argument, well, Dr. Lianne, what if I just have honey? Okay, so I'm gonna give you the full and the big and the low, right? So sometimes we're so sick, we have to come all the way over here just to get ourselves back to here. So in the long run, is honey terrible for you? No, honey has some healthy properties to it, but the problem is if you're already sick, if you have cancer in your body, cancer is sugar is the main fuel source for cancer. So if you already have cancer in your body, it doesn't matter what kind of sugar you give it. You can give it honey, you can give it orange juice, you can give it a Coca-Cola. It will feed that disease. So sometimes we have to eliminate some of this stuff, and that's why I said a month to 2 months, just to get your body to a level of health. Then you can bring back some healthier options in that are like honey, or that are like sprouted grains, things that your body can actually tolerate and know what to do with, right? So these are something I used to think was healthy. I hope no one still thinks they're healthy, but I just wanted to give you the reason why we have such a struggle is most people look at this, yes? They look at calories, fat grams, Anything else is usually fat and calories, right? Is that what most people look at?
Carbs.
Carbs. So the actual most important part to look is you add the carbohydrates plus the sugar, and you divide that by 4. That'll tell you how many teaspoons of sugar are actually in that product. So you add the carbs plus the sugar, so 27 plus 13, and then you divide it by 4, because it's 4 grams per teaspoon of sugar. So here's the sugar hiding in this guy. So the first one's preserved. So if it's meant to preserve this thing on a shelf, it's going to preserve in your fat cells. You have high fructose corn syrup, that's 1. You have corn syrup, which is 2. High fructose corn syrup, again. Fructose, which is sugar. Sugar, which is sugar. Maltodextrin, which is sugar. Cornstarch, which is sugar. Xanthan gum. You guys see where I'm going with this? And then they sprinkle some vitamins on it and tell you it's healthy, right? Not so much, right? So something like this, feed ourselves this as a treat, 10 teaspoons of sugar. You get the yogurt dip ones because they're extra special, still 10 teaspoons of sugar, right? So one thing, I meant to put a picture in there and I didn't get it in here, and it goes back to cancer. Cancer is one of the biggest problems we have in our country. There are more people dying of cancer now than ever in the history. It's like 1 in 4 now. And I bet you within less than 2 years it would be 1 in 2 people will be dying of cancer. Cancer is fueled by sugar. That is its main fuel source. And I will show you because I actually have a picture. So has anyone heard of a PET scan? Yeah. So what it is like you heard a CT scan, MRI. A PET scan is where they actually inject glucose, which is sugar, into your veins. All the cancer bugs go, "Woo, sugar, I like sugar, I like sugar," and it lights up on the PET scan. They literally put glucose in your body to find cancer in the body. That should be enough to tell you that is its fuel source, so it blows up on the scan. So the number one thing you want to do is cut out sugar. If you cut out sugar, you actually starve disease. Whether it's blood pressure, whether it's cholesterol, whether it's diabetes, you cut that back, all your inflammation. When I have patients cut this out, their inflammation in the body pretty much disappears. It's the biggest thing. People who feel puffy and really bloated all the time, sugar is the biggest reason behind that. The other thing, which I said earlier, sugar excites the same receptor sites in the brain as cocaine. It's actually easier to break a cocaine addiction than a sugar addiction. They tested on mice. I didn't do the test myself. Sometimes it seems like I did, right? So the biggest thing we can do, and this is, I will be honest, of all the things I talk about today, this would be the biggest thing. If you could cut this back in your life, it would be one of the biggest things you could do for yourself. The one thing you don't want to do is replace it with fake sugars. So diabetics are always told, do sugar-free. So like aspartame products like Splenda, Sweet and Low, Equal, NutraSweet. And look at this, free diabetes. You'll need a diabetes test if you're drinking this stuff, right? So the problem is if you put this in your body, it actually, what aspartame breaks down to in your body is wood alcohol and formaldehyde. Who would like formaldehyde roaming in their body? Your body can't deal with formaldehyde. They find aspartame in brain tumors. Because your body can't get rid of it, it actually will store itself wherever it can. It'll bundle in a ball, and it's actually found in brain tumors. People with MS, so multiple sclerosis, oftentimes you'll find people have been diagnosed with it. We find out they're heavy Diet Coke drinkers. Remove the Diet Coke, guess what happens to their symptoms? Most symptoms of MS, like neurological disorders, when you get numbness and tingling, eyesight, you can see some of the stuff. You take that away, and their symptoms disappear. Now, I'm not saying all MS, I'm saying, but a lot of times it's misdiagnosed. Okay? So, take-home thing is longer the shelf life, the shorter yours. Okay? What do we replace it with? So let's say you want to have a nice sweet drink in the summer. One of my favorite things is I just get a carbonated water, and I'll add some stevia drops to it to sweeten it up. And stevia is a natural herb. It's from a plant. And there's some that are more natural than others. This is the only one I found that I actually like the taste of. So I just go to sweetleaf.com and I order it straight from there. I just order it and I use it as any. So I have the powder, I have the drops. And if I want to make baking or if I want to have a nice drink, then that's what I use. I put it in my coffee, make sure coffee tastes great. Some other things you can do, because you're like, well, if I take all that food out, what in the world am I supposed to eat, Lianne? This is terrible. I can't eat anything. There's nothing left, right? So some things you can make with is almond flour. Can you give me a water, Kieran? Coconut flour, flaxseed meal. So you can actually make cookies, you can make muffins, you can make bread, you can make crackers. You can make literally anything with other sources of flours. The other thing you can use is things like low glycemic berries and Granny Smith apples. Thanks so much, John. I appreciate it. So you can actually still make all the things you love to have and enjoy all the things you love, especially your kids. Who's had the healthy brownies? Was anyone at our seminar in January? Maybe it was February. I actually made healthy brownies that had no flour in them. They're my favorite brownies in the entire world. The base is almond butter. Who likes peanut butter? So almond butter, it's very delicious. That's how they're made. Second thing, so now that I took a bunch of stuff away from you, I'm going to give you some stuff back. Sound fair? give and take, right? So second thing is add more fat. And most people are like, fat's bad, right? Fat is not bad. Fat doesn't make you fat. The wrong kind of fats make you fat. So there's a difference of avocados, raw nuts and seeds, fresh caught salmon, coconut oil, olive oil. These are all healthy sources of fat. Our brains are starving for fat. We live in such a, by the way, we did this whole low fat thing. How's it working for us? Everyone got bigger. I'm not kidding you. Everyone on this went low fat. They all went like Diet Cokes, low fat cheese, low fat yogurt, zero this, zero that. But it didn't actually work. No one actually got smaller. Everyone actually got bigger. And it actually tricks your brain. When you put your body, something in your body that tells it it's sweet, it craves more of it. And when it doesn't get it, it wants more of it. And so what we need to do is actually give our body what it's missing. And healthy fats is one of the biggest things you can do. Now, pre-frame it with, yes, eat healthy nuts, but not 16 handfuls. Okay? So health, it's not about counting calories, but you have to realize fats do have more calories. So if you have 6,000 calories in a day, you still have to be able to burn the calories off. So yes, you want good healthy fats. Same as when you do salad dressing, you don't need 16 teaspoons of olive oil. Just 2 tablespoons of olive oil with other stuff would be more than enough, because otherwise you're going to get 6,000 calories that you can't burn off in a day. So that is a pre-frame, but you certainly want to start getting more of these. So there is good fats and bad fats. So bad fats are man-made, man-altered. So things like hydrogenated and partially hydrogenated oils, cottonseed oil, soybean oil, vegetable oil, trans fats, so margarine and synthetic butters. We're going to talk about that in a minute because I know people are going to fight me on it. Corn oil, canola oil, anything labeled vegetable oil. Why are these bad? Vegetable oil sounds good, doesn't it? It comes with vegetables. It's got to be good.
So processing?
Yes, so what happens when you take something out of its natural state and put it in a different state, sometimes it's stable, sometimes it's not. Vegetable oil is not stable in your body, it turns rancid. Okay, so coconut oil, olive oil, grapeseed oil, all healthy oils you can put in your body, it's not going to turn rancid. So the way to understand is if you take a lemon outside your body, it's alkaline. You put a lemon inside your body, it's acid outside your body. When you put it inside your body, it's alkaline. So how is that? Because when you put something in your body has to digest it, absorb it, it changes the makeup of it. So when you take oils out of a vegetable, it becomes rancid in your body. Fats you do want to add, so extra virgin avocados, coconut, raw nuts and seeds, real butter, raw's best, hard to find. You can get raw cheese at Zehrs now. Grass-fed meats, eggs, whole milks, and fatty fish. And again, you want to be very careful when you find your fish. The only place I buy my fish, you cannot find it that I know of anywhere else in Brantford, other than the market at Anthony's Meats.
Choice meats.
Anthony's Choice. Now I'm not going to have any fish left because everyone's going to go buy it. But I'd rather eat the healthy stuff, and I'd rather him be able to get more in for people, because even when it says wild caught, you have to realize, just like when McDonald's says 100% real beef, okay, maybe the company's name is 100% real beef, but the beef is not 100% real beef. So same thing with the fish. When it says wild caught, that might be the name of the fish farm, but you will not find it at the grocery store for the most part that's actually true wild caught.
How do you know his is?
Because I know where he actually gets it from. Like, it's actually caught, like, where, do you know, here? Norwegian wild caught, like, it's in the open water, so he knows the source from which it comes. Whereas at the stores, everything's like a lot of prepackaged farm fish. I'll tell you guys, farm fish, how disgusting, and why I honestly can't even, and you'll taste the difference. I had no idea there was a difference. You cook 2 pieces, my goodness, I can't even eat the other stuff anymore. They actually have to feed food coloring pellets to the farmed fish.
If it's purchased, like if it's caught in like China and then processed in the U.S., you can say U.S. fish. We've actually got a member here who's like a food distributor, and he was going through all the details about how you can, based on where you process the fish, you could, or meat or vegetables or anything, you can mislabel it where it's processed and packaged.
You're going to see all labeling. Like, you guys will be shocked or not, even when I get to some of the labels, because they'll tell you it's one thing and it's not. Because they can change the law to fit their, so if it's like, oh, if it's under this many grams, they can call it fat-free. So they just make their serving size under that many grams and call it fat-free. Well, who has this much peanut butter? Nobody, right? Because peanut butter's good. No, it's not. It tastes good, though. Hydrogenated butter. So we went over the bad fats. We went over the healthy fats. So low-fat diets actually make you fatter, and your brain is 70% made of fat. You need fat for your brain function. So high-fat diets, consisting of what we've talked about, actually lower your blood sugar, improve your blood lipids, they aid in absorption of nutrients, increase your metabolism. Funny, your body actually burns fat better when you eat fat. That's crazy, right? Decreases insulin resistance, so that's diabetes. Increases your good cholesterol, decreases inflammation in your body, that puffy feeling, decreases cardiovascular disease, improve organ health, and the last one, improve weight loss. So who would like some of those? So you want to add more fat. So realize, do you remember what the sugar list was? Exact opposite of all this. Okay, so sugar caused all these problems. Healthy fats erase all those problems. So the switch you want to make is start adding more of these, take more of the others out. So here's one of those fun labels. I used to think peanut butter was good for you, and it even says trans fat free, and I'll show you how they lie straight to your face. What is hydrogenated vegetable oil? Would you call that trans fat? Yes, it is. So what do? They just said, oh, if it's under so many grams per serving, you can call it trans fat free. So freshly roasted peanuts. So first off, if most people don't know this, peanuts, and it's one of the reasons kids have so many allergies, it's very high in aflatoxin. It's a fungus that grows wildly in the peanuts, and so they actually have to roast them because you cannot eat them without roasting them, basically. So you have freshly roasted fungus, soybean oil, maltodextrin, which is sugar, icing sugar, which belongs on a cake, hydrogenated vegetable oil, which is trans fat. So, and then they're saying, here's a healthy snack. So what's a better option? Because I don't want to take it away and not give you something else. Almond butter. So almond butter, and even the best, you'll see one ingredient. There's still almonds in it. So that's why you flip the label over, because if you don't flip the label over, you would have just thought, oh, this is good, there's no trans fat. It's got a squirrel, we gotta be good, right? So you have to read the labels, okay? So some areas that there's trans fats hiding, so you've got Chips Ahoy, you've got pizza, you've got, and again, these are staples in a lot of households. Change the box out. It might not be Fruit Loops, it might be Captain Crunch, it might be Cheerios, it might be Bran Flakes. Does not matter the box you put on. These are staples in so many households, and they're things we eat all day. So things like ADD, ADHD, focusing, attention deficit, all these things are impacted by the foods we put in. And so when I actually have food diaries, I have patients do food diaries because a lot of people are thinking they're eating healthy because they've been told certain foods are healthy, and they come in and I see like less than 20% of their food is actually real life food. I'll be honest, a lot of kids don't even know where vegetables come from. Don't know what celery is or carrots are, like they don't even know because we've never been taught these things. A lot of kids have never been taught to cook. Because we live in such a fast-paced society, we open a package and stick it in a microwave or stick it in an oven, and that's all we know. So we have to get back to eating real foods. And so when we look at other countries, like I said, where they live to be 80 or 100, they eat what comes from the earth. Whatever they can pick, whatever they can grow, whatever they can pluck, they eat, right? So that's, if we ate closer to that lifestyle, we would be healthy. And if you actually look back to old game shows, have you ever seen reruns of old game shows from like the 1950s, right? Look at their skin. Look at their body types, and then ask what they ate. We did not have the processing like we have now. They sat home and ate real meals, and even if they ate real porridge, it was real porridge, right? Our food is all genetically modified, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So this is one I do get fight on a lot because a lot of doctors will tell you, Basil, how many people have heard eat your Basil? Better for you. I'm going to tell you, don't eat your Basil. It's one molecule away from plastic. Please don't eat it, okay? It's the same old, oh, eggs are good, eggs are bad. Eggs are good, eggs are bad. For every other year, there's something different. They will tell you Basil is good for you because the Heart and Stroke Foundation put a check mark on it. I could make a product and tell them I'm going to give them this much money if they'll put it on. If you pay enough money, they'll give you a check mark, okay? So the problem is the guy that came up with the whole entire concept, and you can, oh, what is his name? It just escaped me. Does anyone know his name? The guy who came up with the cholesterol theory, high fat theory. Anyway, I'll find it for my next seminar for you guys. He literally created this entire theory, went all over the world and studied it, left out all the information that didn't fit his hypothesis. So he says high fat causes heart attack and heart disease. It doesn't. He took all the information out where countries eat almost zero fat and they had wicked amounts of heart disease. And then he also took out the information where people eat tons of fat and have no heart disease. He took out all this information because his graph looked like this. So in order for it to do this, he threw out a bunch of information. And that is literally the hypothesis we've lived by, is fat makes you fat. And so the problem is, you look at this butter, which we've been eating for centuries, it has one ingredient. Basil, well, let's look, canola oil, which is rancid sunflower oil, which is rancid modified palm oil, which is rancid palm kernel oil, which is rancid, some stuff I can't pronounce, and then they sprinkle some vitamins on it. Which one do you think common sense would tell you your body can actually recognize and utilize? Oh, what did I do? We're good. I gave everyone a heart attack. Get fats. We did it. So the whole point is we want to use common sense. If it's real, if it's live, it doesn't matter. If there's a Heart and Stroke Foundation, ask yourself, can your body recognize it? Can your body break it down? Make sense? Okay? So the other thing we have to be careful for, again, is fancy labeling. So this says omega-3. Sounds good. It's found right beside the organic lettuce. It says wellness on it. It's got to be good. Then number one ingredient is canola oil, which is a purely rancid oil. So the one thing you will not find at a grocery store is a healthy salad dressing. My best suggestion is find someone who sells Epicure, make your own salad dressing from home. Yeah. So if you need someone, I have patients in the office who sell it. It's one of the best ways I've found, because you just add olive oil to it or add something natural to it, and then you create your own salad dressing, okay? Problem is bad fats cause things like cellular congestion, so that leads to cancer. Inflammation, which is heart attack and stroke. Decrease in nerve function. So when you eat these things, that's what it causes. So I don't have any sound, but I want you to see this so I can pretty much walk you through this.
I first woke up, so to speak, when I was working on the anesthesia service, learning how to put people to sleep. And I was seeing my patients for the next day's surgery, for coronary artery bypass surgery, in order to bypass clogged arteries in their heart. Because it was late at night, I drew the man's blood test, and when I took the blood to the laboratory and had it processed, I couldn't believe my eyes. Now, normally, this liquid layer floating on top of the blood clot is quite transparent. It's a yellow, but quite clear. You can see right through it. The blood in this patient's tube, however, was anything but clear. The serum floating on his clot was thick and greasy white. It looked like glue. In fact, it stuck to the sides of the blood tube when I shook the tube. I went back to the patient. I said, Mr. Phillips, did you eat before you came to the hospital tonight? He said, yes. I said, what did you have? He said, I had a cheeseburger and a milkshake. And when he said that, I realized that what I was looking at in his tube was all the fat in the beef burger, all the butter fat in the cheese, and the butter fat in the ice cream and in the milkshake. And all this fat had oozed out into his blood and actually turned his blood fatty. The next morning, we took Mr. Phillips to the operating room, and I put him to sleep, and the surgeon opened up his chest. And from these arteries, he began pulling out yellow, greasy deposits of fatty material called atherosclerosis.
This is a beautiful example of what atherosclerosis looks like. There it is. And I'm going to just gently tug on this now. It's a little hard to pull. Dr. Coupon, if you could give a little pull too. We'll see if we can get this thing out.
We are just holding our breath so that you will finish the case.
There it is. America's #1 killer right there before your eyes.
I show that to you because how many people, you don't have to raise your hand, have high blood pressure, cholesterol, or control they do? That's what that is. And that is 100% food driven. Anyone who's ever had a bypass, that's what that is. They are pulling out the fatty deposits of built up food that your body could not tolerate over time. Now, not the good healthy fat helps clear that out. So what I want you to realize, if you're suffering with disease process right now, and I bring this to all my seminars because, number one, he doesn't even look old enough to have arteries like that. And remember one of the very first slides I showed you, kids have arteries like 45-year-olds? Well, here's why. Guess where this burger's from?
McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Happy Meal.
It is 7 years old. 7 years old. I have another one here that's 8 years old, but it's falling apart because I never used to store it. Now I store it in this little box just to protect it from breaking. But this one's 8 years old. It had cheese on it. The cheese didn't even mold. It's actually probably 9 years old, right? There's french fries in here too. You ever drop a french fry in the middle of winter and you clean your crab in the summer, the french fries are still there? Shouldn't potatoes go bad, you would think? Not real food. The problem is, any of the foods I just showed you in the box, if we're eating these, you're forming this layer of all this fat in your arteries. A blood pressure medication isn't going to fix this. So the first thing I need you to know is taking a medication is not going to fix this problem. Changing your diet will. So all they do is they give you blood pressure. So let me break this down. I wasn't going to go in this, but I feel like I need to go in this. So, what's that?
I was going to say oxidation.
Oxidation, yeah. So arteries look this big, right? Well, your arteries are not this big. But if they were this big, the blood pumps through them, right? So you start eating toxic foods. Those arteries start getting smaller and smaller and smaller. When your arteries get smaller, what does your blood have to do? What does your heart have to do to get the blood through it? It pumps harder. So now your heart starts pumping because your body knows what to do. It 100% always knows what to do at the right time and responds to what we do to it. Pumps harder. What does your doctor say?
High blood pressure.
You have high blood pressure. What do you need?
Medication.
So all of a sudden he lowers your blood pressure. What happens? the blood can't get through that smaller hole as well. So your organs actually starve for oxygen. So you have to realize a blood pressure medication, I'm not saying go home and stop it, don't mishear the message. I'm saying you have to in your mind believe and understand that if you don't make a change in your nutrition, a heart attack and stroke is coming. Cholesterol medication will say right on it, does not prevent heart attack or stroke. All it does is change your symptom. So what we are trying to do is teach you how to move some things out of your diet. Your body knows how to clean the arteries out, knows how to reverse disease. 100%. I've had so many patients reverse heart disease in the office, get off their medication, lose 40 pounds. But we have to, if you want things in your life to change, you're going to have to change things in your life. So when we take your kids for a Happy Meal as a gift to them, it takes 102 days to get the toxic effects of fast food out, or even a granola bar out of our body. So think about all the cleaning out we have to do. So the other thing, that's why a lot of people feel crappy. How many people have done a detox? Cut out sugar? How'd you feel? Felt like you got hit by a train probably, right? So anytime you cut something out, cut out caffeine, headaches like crazy. Somebody's like, been there, done it, it was awful. It was grouchy. Oh yeah, I'm super grouchy too when I cut all that stuff out myself. So thing is, when you cut all that out, it's like, think of like any addiction. You cut out drugs out of someone's life who's been on drugs. They go through withdrawals, shakes, you know, they go through the whole gambit. You can go through the same thing when you take out sugar. And that's why I say to people, do it at the pace you're comfortable at doing. Don't take everything out unless you're an all or none. I'm all or none. I'll take everything out of my cupboards and I'll put all new in. I'm crazy. Most people, though, they need to do one step at a time, because here's what I want for you guys. I want you to leave here and do this for life. I don't want you to leave here, lose 40 pounds this month, and then gain it all back next month. That's not going to help you long term. And that's why I said, if you leave here and take one thing home, if you leave here and just add one serving of broccoli a day, you are going to be healthier. If you leave and start drinking 1 full liter of water a day, you're going to be healthier. So just realize each step you take is a step. But I wanted you to this to be visual. Was that pretty visual? Mm-hmm. So the next time you grab a French fry, or the next time you grab pizza, the next time you grab even a cookie or a granola bar, you have to realize that's what we're building up in there. So fake foods create all that blocking in arteries. So any of these sort of things. So there are much better options, like even something as simple as popcorn. Like, this is one of the most toxic pieces of crap we can put in our body with all the trans fat in the bag. You could literally, not that I'm saying popcorn's the best snack, but coconut oil in a pan, pop them up. That's how we used to do it, right? And pour a little bit of normal, healthy, natural butter, not the fake, I think it's buttered, but not buttered kind of stuff, right? So the other thing we want to be aware of is things like white breads, white pasta, white rice. What they do when you have like a plain white bread, they actually take the good stuff out and sprinkle vitamins on. That's what enriched means. But the problem is the stuff they take out of it is actually what helps your body digest it properly. So when you get like whole stone ground, things like sprouted grains, your body actually can recognize it much better because it's got the whole grain to it. When you start pulling stuff out and sprinkling stuff in, your body doesn't actually recognize it. So the other thing you can do, like I said, we went back to this, is you can cook. We have tons of recipes in our recipe book that we have at the office that help you utilize this stuff, okay? Just a visual. Number 3, yeah, we look at it longer, right? Number 3, ditch the processed food. This goes in hand with the first thing. Anything processed, anything packaged. So food processing removes a lot of the nutrients, vitamins, the fiber present in the food. What happens when you cook food? What happens to all the enzymes and minerals?
Gone.
They're gone, right? Think about why they heat up milk. They heat up milk to high temperatures to kill off all the bacteria. So when you heat food to these crazy temperatures, you kill off anything that's good. So when people are like, I'm eating French fries, it's potatoes. I'm like, no, it's not. Potatoes, not anymore. So we've pretty much kind of gone through all this. Some of the top 10 worst processed foods: trans fats, saturated fats, high fructose corn, sugar, MSG, artificial colors, artificial sweeteners. What's else? Bleached. Sodium. A lot of people are afraid of sodium. Salt's actually not the big bad guy, I'll be honest with you. If you're actually eating real salt, like sea salt or Himalayan, like the red pink salt, those actually give your body minerals. So the Himalayan pink salt actually has 84 trace minerals, and our bodies are missing minerals because we don't eat real food. So you actually should be sprinkling some of that on your food because your body does actually need it. MSG. First thing, so you'll see this is an MSG rat up here. It's kind of small, but if they want to fatten rats, make them fatter, guess what they feed them? MSG. They just pump them full of MSG and they go poof, like this. So according to the FDA, the MSG side effects are things like numbness, facial pressure, nausea, weakness, burning sensation, chest pain, heartbeat, rapid, tingling, headaches, drowsiness, difficulty breathing. Those are some of the side effects. Causes problems with your heart, your circulatory system, gastrointestinal. See these things down here? How many people recognize some of those from their household? So any of these sort of things will give you these sort of symptoms. Like even those ramen noodles, I remember eating a ton of those as a kid. We loved those things, right? I think we did, didn't we? And Kraft dinner and hot dogs.
Oh, Kraft dinner.
That was one of my favorites, okay? Well, here you go. Children who eat more than 12 hot dogs per month have 9 times more normal risk for developing childhood leukemia.
Wow.
Fake meat. And people might think, well, 12 hot dogs is a lot. It's not a lot. Think about if you have one hot dog. When we were kids, we had a hot dog day at school every single week. Well, who eats just one hot dog? I certainly didn't. If you did, that would be hard to do, right? I used to eat them when they're cold. Oh, God, it grosses me out. The things I did to myself. No wonder it took me so long to get healthy, right? So, obviously, very crazy looking picture, but this is the truth. We put a lot of this stuff in, and we expect ourselves, our kids, to function properly. And honestly, when we put this stuff into our body, it short circuits neurons in the brain. It affects our learning, it affects our concentration. So even when you're sitting at work trying to function, trying to work, trying to focus, it's nearly impossible because your brain is doing all this. One of my favorite stories to tell is my best friend. I was over at her house and the kids were sitting there watching TV so peacefully. And I was like, man, the kids are good, right? They hadn't eaten yet today. We'd just woken up. I spent the night there. And she's like, you guys are so good. Come get a treat. So she gives them a granola bar and a red licorice. What do you think they were doing 5 minutes later? Hitting each other with pillows. And then she's screaming at him. I'm like, did you not see what just happened? Like, I knew, but that's because I teach this, right? But she had no clue. Screaming at our kids because, well, it's the toxic effects. You put sugar in, there's going to be a response, right? Now, our response may be like scrolling through Facebook or just, our brain may not settle down. GMOs, obviously this one doesn't look as nice, but I promise you it's better to eat this one than the one that looks perfect for 14 years, right? Never changes. When they feed GMOs to rats, within 3 months they form these massive tumors. What do you think they do in our body? Guess where genetically modified foods are? Any box food. Anything with wheat. So cereals, boxed foods, drumsticks, right? My favorite. Okay? But the problem is if rats form tumors, rats are only just smaller than us. It just means it happens on a smaller scale. Just give us longer time and more years. Same thing.
What about red fife flour?
What flour?
Red fife flour? Is that an original wheat from?
So here's the thing. That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up, Susan, because here's the thing. You could all go to Italy and eat bread and feel fine. Not bloated, probably lose weight. The bread in Italy is very different than the bread in Canada. So we live on multiply genetic modified sources. So if there is an actual real source that is true to its nature, brain isn't the enemy, guys. It's what we've done to it. So that's the big thing I want you to know. It's like God knew what he was doing. The foods that come from the earth, they're good for us to eat. The problem is we've changed them all. We've added to them, we've modified them, we've changed them. If we hadn't have done that, and that's why you can go to some countries, like you look at the Mediterranean diet, and people are big on the Mediterranean. Well, how come they can eat croissants dipped in olive oil, right? Well, because it's real food. It actually is real. People used to eat lard smothered on bread, like real stuff that came from the earth. The problem is nothing we eat is real anymore. That's the problem, okay? We send our kids off to school with Lunchables, blah, look at all that. There's dough softeners. I don't know what dough softeners are in this thing. Fourth thing, so something else to give yourself, more alkalinity. So all disease has an acidic environment, so the more acid your body is, the more sick your body is. The more alkaline your body is, the more health you have. So there is a pH scale. How many people have heard of acid alkaline? Okay, you want to be on this side, alkaline. So you can see everything on here is processed. Hamburgers, hot dogs, lunch meat, candy, cookies, sugar, alcohol, soda, all the fun stuff in life, right? On this side, beets, cauliflower, celery, all the boring stuff in life, right? No, you can actually make it healthy and very fun. And what I will tell you is how many people have actually made a major diet shift in their life ever? One thing it is once you cut out all the sugar, because who likes vegetables, let's be honest. Not many people. Like, less hands go up in the room. How many people would rather eat chocolate or cookies or chips than sugar? Right? So those people would. But the thing is if you actually cut all that stuff out and you eat all natural, real food, all of a sudden, I'll tell you the funniest thing in the world, lettuce becomes so tasty. The crunch of the lettuce, the sweetness of it. You're like, I didn't know lettuce was sweet. It is when you cut out all the sugar, it actually becomes tasty. Same thing with carrots. I didn't realize how good carrots could be until I cut out all the things that were cutting out cytotoxins in my brain, right? So the more alkaline, again, this is just another picture. It basically just shows you real live food. The more your diet consists of this, and I would challenge all of you, I'll do a food diary with every person in this room. Keep a food diary. I'll go in and highlight the foods that are causing health, the foods that are causing disease, and a lot of people will be shocked, but you won't be shocked to go, well, I know why it feels like such crap, right? Because a lot of people don't feel good. They feel tired, they feel, right? So if you're eating a lot of that and fueling your body, these are some of the most alkaline foods you can put in your body. They pack the most powerful punch. So remember when I showed you 1 bowl of spinach is equal to 14 bowls of oatmeal? You pack this in your meal, you start having salads every single day. If you had a salad with every lunch and dinner, that'd be a huge start. Even if you don't take anything out of your diet yet, you just add more in, that's a great first start. And the more you add the good stuff in, so the trick is you have to eat your salad before you get anything else. And you eat that, then you can have something else. So when I always say to people, 80-20, even if you could take it down 70-30, 70% of your plate has to be real and live. On the other part of that 20 to 30%, enjoy life. That's a great start. Then you still get some of the things you want, but you're giving yourself mostly, and that includes breakfast. Breakfast is one of the worst meals we eat, and it's the way we start our day. So no wonder we feel like crap. Like a lot of the foods I showed you, you're like, well, no wonder I probably don't have energy through the rest of my day. Get more greens. Also goes with alkalinity. So the more greens you get, the healthier you're going to be. So you'll definitely see all of these things are going to create complete health, wellness. You can see fights cancers, lower cholesterol, aids in digestion, high in fiber, anti-cancer, low fat, protein rich. You're going to see all the health benefits we can actually get into our diet. So if it came from a plant, eat it. If it was made in a plant, don't. Easy, right? So again, which phrase does yours look like? Which one do we want to work towards? Right? So again, live food equals life, dead food equals death. So here's 10 of the best foods to eat. So I've talked a lot about what you want to cut out, what you want to get rid of, what you have to eliminate, and we're almost done. We're wrapping up. You guys holding strong? We're doing good? Okay. So 10 of the best foods to eat to prevent and reverse disease. Raw almonds, nuts, and seeds, so great source of protein. They're alkalizing, they prevent heart disease, cancer, and they're good essential fats, especially for your brain. Extra virgin coconut and olive oil, so there's no chemical processing to extract the oil, so it's great for brain function. Fats are so good for brain function. MCT oil is one of the best sources you can get, but you have to start slow with that. I think we had this conversation today. Start slow with MCT oil. So beans can be a great source of protein, fiber, and complex carbohydrates. They give you lasting energy. They're low in fat. They're high in B vitamins. Tons of good stuff. Quinoa and hemp seeds. So quinoa is actually a healthier option for grains. So instead of things like pure wheat and stuff, quinoa your body is better to recognize and be able to break down and utilize. Okay. Sprouted grains. So get rid of the stuff that's like white bleached crap, and get things that are actually sprouted. And whole grain doesn't even cut it really anymore, or was it whole wheat? That is not a healthy option. A lot of people think whole wheat is an option. That's basically, and again, you know, this is, I think, was this one piece of bread or is this two? This is one slice of bread, right here, of this bread. So even though this is the ancient grains, it still breaks down to sugar. So just realize, even if you still want it to be the smaller portion of that plate.
So is there less sugar in that sprouted grain bread or no? There's just more
Okay,
healthier stuff?
loaded question. If you're sick, same amount of sugar. If you're healthy, your body knows how to use, like glucose is good. Your brain uses glucose, right? Your brain needs it. Again, the problem is most of us are so sick, we've got to come all the way over here and cut a bunch of stuff out for quite some time. When you get back to here, sprouted grains are great. Your body knows what to do with glucose. It knows how to break it down. It knows how to utilize it. The problem is when you're in a state of sick, your body can't utilize it the same. Does that make sense? Great question. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you any better with gluten-free breads?
Be careful. Great question. Be careful with gluten-free because when they take something out, guess what? They put something else in. It's like when they went from BPA, they just then went to BPB. Still a toxic chemical, not any better. But everyone's like, oh, it's BPA free, right? So they'll trick you and be like, oh, it's low fat. Oh, it's sugar free. Oh, it's gluten free. It's just all these different fads to make you jump on board and follow. So is gluten bad? I'll tell you, just cut out grain. If you think you're gluten free, cut out grain and watch your life transform. Right? So the problem is not just gluten. They usually take that out, but they have to put something else in. And some people are more intolerant to gluten, so you're better off to find a different kind of grain that just doesn't have gluten in it at all, or take gluten out completely. Because I'll be honest, the problem is we've eaten so many processed foods for so long, and that's why we see more allergies than we've ever had. Isn't it crazy? Kids are like, you can't bring nothing to school no more. I never went to school with kids who couldn't eat peanuts, couldn't eat strawberries, couldn't eat anything. I'm like, what do kids eat these days, right? Can't send them vegetables, they don't eat those, right? So vegetables, fish, salmon, tilapia, mahi-mahi, just remember you have to figure out where they're coming from. You want healthy sources. Eggs are actually a great source of tons of vitamins, great source of protein. Probiotic foods, only if, and even then organic yogurt, you only really want it, especially if you can get like goat yogurt is a much better option. Kefir or kombucha would be okay. The problem with most yogurt is, like I said in the beginning, it's full of sugar. Anything flavored is full of sugar, so you end up feeding all the bad bacteria, even though you're getting some good probiotics. So I tell people, honestly, if you want probiotics, I just take probiotic, because there isn't, unless you're doing your own kombucha or kefir, you're really not getting a good source from the grocery store, right? Leafy greens and vegetables, all right? So this is a traditional medicine cabinet. If you eat healthy, this could be your medicine cabinet, and you actually can, guys, I'll be very honest, when I put patients on a nutrition program, you can reverse any disease. It is possible. Absolutely 100%. So I just want to encourage you. Again, I'm hoping this isn't super overwhelming. So this is the very last thing I want to show you. So this was Shelley before. She had joint pain, fatigue, high blood pressure, she had cholesterol problems, she had chronic pain. So this is her after applying the principles I just taught to you right now. Now, she went super strict because she was just so sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's Shelley going through the nutritional program we basically just talked about. So again, it's really up to you how long it takes you to get to that point. So today, like I said, you can go home and make one change, and you're better off for it. You can go and make 2 changes. So I try to give you as much as I could so that you guys have multiple options. And the best thing you can do is just try to start eliminating the process and add in more of the nutrient-dense food. You'll feel unbelievable. You'll notice a difference. Kids, when you get kids off of sugar-laden foods and start eating real whole foods, and people do as a family, because people will tell me, well, I can't get my kids to eat vegetables. Well, you know what my dad told me? If you don't eat it, you don't eat it, you don't eat it. You don't eat anything. This is what we're eating as a family, so if you don't eat it, you get nothing. The problem is we go, oh, my kid won't eat this, we'll make them pizza pockets. Oh, he won't eat this, we'll go make them whatever. If you give them an option, they're going to take an option, and they're going to push the limits. So great movie. Who here has Netflix? Anyone? Watch the movie The Magic Pill. Unbelievable story of a little girl. She's severely autistic, severely, like no speech, bangs her head, does a lot of rocking, screams all day, runs in circles, very severe. They put her on a ketogenic diet, which is basically eliminating everything we just talked about, anything processed, giving her good healthy fats. She didn't eat for a week. She threw the food. If you ever came in the office, we were playing the video for a while. People were like, what are you watching? She's throwing the food. She's screaming. She's throwing tantrums. She would not eat one thing. And they assured her, so there was medical supervision. And I'll tell you, fasting is one of the best things you can actually do for your body. Regenerate your entire immune system. It's amazing for you if you can make it through. Most people feel like they're going to die when they fast. But this young girl, after 1 week, she finally ate the food. And they offered it every meal, and she just threw the food, started eating it. Bam. She just couldn't stop getting the coconut oil, the avocados, the raw nuts, like all the good healthy fats. She started speaking. She started communicating. All her like rocking behaviors, all her screaming outbursts, completely gone. And actually moving into actually being able to develop into a more normal child. And that was by eliminating all her toxic food. So they would have, and all she ate before was fishy crackers, chicken nuggets, and I think there was one other thing, like bear paws or something like that. That's all she would eat. That was all she would eat. And they just took it all away from her and said, this is what you eat. This is what we're eating. And they did it as a family. And within 1 week, she ate. And she couldn't get enough of it. And her life transformed because of it. And so did that whole family. Because if you've ever seen a child under those conditions, it's hard. You can't go anywhere. You can't. It's very difficult. So this has the power to really transform your life as well as your entire family. And I'm really here to help you guys. And the RealFIT team, they're amazing. They're such a great support. They understand this process. So reach out to them. Reach out to us. We're going to do everything we can to help you reach your health goals. That's all I have for today. Does anyone have any questions before we go? Yeah?
What bread do you recommend?
In general, I'm not a big bread recommender. If you're going to choose a healthier option, then certainly something like a sprouted grain, Ezekiel bread. So the picture I showed up there was of Ezekiel bread. And so it'll say sprouted. And you actually can only buy it in a freezer section. Because if you leave it on a shelf, it actually decays, which is what food should do if it's real. So that's the best one I recommend. Yep.
Okay.
Susan?
Drink celery water. We juice celery.
Yeah.
I add pink salt to it.
Yep.
Now, probably Tabasco sauce has sugar in it. A little dash. With
I actually think Tabasco was the only thing on there that didn't have sugar.
Well, you put a little bit of pepper on it, put it in some ice, and it almost makes you think you're drinking a Caesar without actually drinking the alcohol.
There
and
you
it's
go.
alkaline for you, and it's fabulous overall.
It's perfect for you. That's great. Did everyone hear that?
It's
She juices
delicious.
celery, makes
Yep.
it into like a Caesar, so it actually
Add
tastes
water, like juice your celery, add some water, put up a little bit of salt, or if you want to rim your glass with
Yeah.
pink
There you go, rim
Himalayan
it.
salt.
There you go, getting all your minerals.
A Tabasco sauce, you could probably add some, well, garden cocktail probably has sugar in it now.
Yeah.
So that's probably out, but you know, there's a
great.
lot of things and it's alkaline.
Even simple things like you can make fajitas in lettuce shells. You can make tacos in lettuce shells. You can create a lot of. You can make pizza out of cauliflower. Like there's a cauliflower crust.
I don't like it, but my roommate is a trainer and he uses mushrooms as a bun.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the portobello mushrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. They actually make good pizzas. If you put some stuff in there to stack it up, you can actually make good with the raw cheese and some veggies. Yeah, James.
There's a difference. There's obviously a difference between the hot dogs you get at the grocery store and the hot dogs you get from the butcher.
Yep.
I would say 100%.
Yeah.
Read your labels, guys. You have to be very careful of the meat you buy from the grocery store. I don't buy any meat from a grocery store anymore. I hate to say that, and I apologize if anyone works at a grocery store, but to be honest, it's like I want to give my body. What's that?
You like goodness meat too.
Yeah, I do. I love it. Well, that's different. So goodness me, I shouldn't say that. Not a grocery store. Goodness me is, but where I don't know the meat's coming from. So goodness me does have good, healthy sources. I actually try to go straight to a butcher just for my meat. I do buy a lot of things at stores, but a butcher I know exactly where it's coming from, where it's processed from. So that's typically where I try, or even the market where I know it's local and we're supporting people here in our local community. Any other questions, guys? Was this helpful? I didn't get into milk. That's a whole nother story. But I could go on for nutrition for probably 14 hours. But I try to give you the most basic stuff. And again, please, I just want you to make sure you don't feel overwhelmed. Seek me out. If you need to make a first step and you need help with that, ask the RealFIT team. They'll help you take a first step. If there's no other questions, is there anything else?
No, I just want to thank everybody for coming. Obviously, Lianne's from Abundant Health. We're here at RealFIT. Obviously, they're focused on health, and we do the same thing. That's one of the reasons why we left a free week of boot camp just as a gift to say thank you for everybody who came. But again, if anybody would like a gift certificate to Dr. Lianne's practice, by all means, don't hesitate to go ask her. And I mean, we do personal training, nutrition, and all that here. But if anybody has any questions or anything you'd like to ask, anything specific, don't hesitate to come up to one of us at the end and ask if you do have a personal
And I'll
question.
stick around if anyone has other questions. Is there any other questions for everyone? We're good? Awesome, guys. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You're like, I don't come back to this seminar.